So I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of this process that I've been going through these last couple weeks because it's been really fun and enlightening, and you've had such a huge impact on it as a community. Is that I kind of publicly stated a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I can't keep teaching 20 or 25 private students every week, right? I can't do it. I'm running Fons. Fons is growing very quickly, and that's great. And I love teaching, but I'm going to mix it up. So I got super motivated, and I went kind of on my weekends and late at night, just kind of started ultra focusing on what I was going to do with my music school, right? And what I was going to do to try to look along a couple different things. Actually, why I share this with you, can you guys see? So I went down this rabbit hole, and I wanted to be very mindful about it. And I was like, I'm going to change my studio up. I've got 5 students going to college. This is a perfect time to kind of bundle some things up. And I started throwing out ideas, but I needed to make sure they were in alignment with who I am, which is that it's got to be awesome. Like, I have to love it. It's got to be inspirational. I have plenty of current and former clients to pull from to kind of create whatever this thing I'm going to do. So I started just brainstorming, and I was like, okay, what do I do well in my school? What do parents come for? Why do they sign up? And started really seeing that, often people aren't just coming to me to like take guitar lessons. They're doing it as part of life, as growing up and learning to be a good friend and listen and develop technique. So I started thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to do this kind of course, or maybe I'll do, I'll do some kind of, group classes where I get kids together in pods and they meet up. And as I started doing that, I also started thinking, all my buddies are doing courses now. Tony needs to be doing a course. Steve Tressler is going to be has this killer course he's doing. I talked with a piano teacher a couple months back that was making $32,000 a month from a course they were selling with Google ads. Not teaching a single lesson, not a piano teacher we would know in our community, but like they had this really amazing business model. So I'm like, I'm going to do courses, because I banged out 10 courses I could do in my sleep, like beginning classical guitar, music history, guitar for beginners, fingerstyle guitar, things that I'm really passionate about that I teach every day.
Darren, can you bring me my other headphones that are in the...
Oh, I'm gonna. And then I was like, okay, I'll do a kids class. So my initial thing is I'm going to launch out this product where I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to get a couple former students to be my assistant. I'm going to create these group classes, and from these group classes, I'm going to build courses. At the end of those classes, I'm going to launch the courses as an evergreen funnel. And then what happens during this whole thing is my phone starts ringing. I've gotten 10 phone calls in the last week for new students that want to sign up at my new rate, right? And I've never had that many in the last, I've never had like one student a day call me and just say, yeah, we want to sign up right now. I did the meet and greets. The kids are amazing, and I can't say no, right? So I've signed up 4 new students after swearing I wasn't taking any more. I've been teaching them. I love them. And I was like, wait, after all this thinking, I'm still a private guitar teacher, right? I love one-on-one. I love this communication. And it really brought me back to kind of who I am as a person, which is like all these things I'm doing right now. I don't have time these all take more time, and I can put together a team and do these courses, but they'll always be there. But for right now, I don't have, the universe is saying, no, all these kids want to work with you. I can put them in pods. I can group them up. That's stuff that I'll play around with. But it really brought me back to the center of what my basic mission is, which is that I'm really love these one-on-one lessons, and maybe I don't need to scale them. Maybe I don't teach as many. Maybe I charge a little bit more, but I think that's my path to happiness. So I went through all these different strategies. I spent weeks doing this. I updated my email list. I built some little web pages. I mean, I spent a lot of time on it. And at the end of the day, I always came back to, this is still me. But one thing came up at the end of all of this, which didn't accomplish any of my initial brainstorming goals. So everything I had planned to do, all of my goals, it unearthed a dream that I've been carrying around for the last 20 years, right? I'm going to share it with you. And I am going to do this because it's something I've dreamt about for 20 years. I've sketched out for 20 years. My greatest asset in my life is my friend group, right? And mentors, people in their 90s, their 80s, their 70s. I have close friends that are in their teen years. And I love talking. You guys know, I love to get on the phone. I love to meet people. I love to extract information from people. And about 20 years ago, I wrote the theme song to my show called Take a Walk with Mr. Branner, right? And I scored it out and recorded it. And I wanted to have like a show where the theme of it was, or a podcast or a YouTube channel, where every week I kind of go for a walk with somebody and I hear their story and model skills of listening, kindness, friendship, just life skills, the same stuff I do in guitar lessons or in music lessons. And everything I worked on these last couple weeks funneled me back into this idea. And it will probably make no money, most likely go nowhere. But the thought of doing it makes me so unbelievably happy that at the end of this huge 3-week kind of project I've been working on to share with the Fons family, I'm all the way back to where I started with what I want to do. I'm working more, and I've come up with a business idea that probably won't make me any extra money and take a lot of my time. So that is my report of this kind of month-long little journey I've been on that I wanted to share with you guys. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. And hi Steve, I see you there now too. So I wanted to turn it over to anybody that had maybe something they're working on that they'd like to share, any thoughts they've had, any kind of big issues or questions they want to throw out today that we want to identify and discuss as a group. Now's a great time to do it if someone has something on their mind. So just introduce yourself, wave your hand, tell us where you're from, and shoot. And if not, I'll just pick somebody. Ronda. Hey, Ronda, you're muted.
Unmute, yeah.
Hi, Ronda. It's so nice to see you. I'm going to give a brief intro. Ronda just moved from Northern Virginia to Pennsylvania, and she's restarting her life in her studio. She's a music teacher. She's amazing. She's got a following that she's brought some of her along with her from Northern Virginia, and she's hoping to keep them because they're a demographic that can pay more because they're in a bigger spot. And she's been doing a ton of work to get everything dialed in. So Ronda, what's up? How are you?
Well, my big accomplishment last week was getting a new headshot taken for my profile biography. And I was so stressed out about it. But I ended up meeting a really nice photographer here in my neighborhood that, has lived here all his life and knows a lot of people, and has recommended a graphic artist that's also a native to Gettysburg that's going to help me get a new logo and a brochure and some of that kind of stuff, so that I can, get the marketing ball rolling and hopefully get some students here in Gettysburg. My ad is in this month's neighborhood newsletter. I kind of threw something together with my phone number on it. And but hopefully this graphic artist is going to help get me something that looks a little more attractive. And she's saying that I don't really need to do any marketing other than having a Facebook page. So I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to investigate that more, but I'm just, like I said, working on getting restarted, and I've still got 10 of my Northern Virginia students that I'm teaching virtually, and they're all fine with that. Their schools are all virtual in Northern Virginia right now anyway. So,
so you got your headshot done. You should throw that up in the groups and Fons so we can see it. We want to take a look at it. So
yeah, let's see. It's on my it's on my hard drive on my Mac, and I'm on my iPad. I don't have it on here yet.
No worries. Throw it up later. But Rhonda, it sounds like you're making great progress. You've got some students going. You're doing some work. You've got headshots. You're getting the logo done. Hey, why don't you DM me with the headline, "All I need is a Facebook page," and why don't you and I talk really quick about what that might entail. We can have a private conversation about what you need for marketing and what you might want to do, because let's follow up on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate some help with that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Hey, you know, how about someone that hasn't been here before, like, or hasn't shared with us? Would someone like to, like Melissa or Shelby, you want to introduce yourself and say hi real quick?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Shelby, and I'm in the Salem, Oregon area as a private English as a second language tutor, and a reading tutor. And I've been thinking about this for a while, and there's a Facebook page and podcast called like Ultimate Tutor Support Group kind of thing. So I
Joanne
listen to
Kaminsky's.
them. Yeah, Joanne Kavinsky's group.
She's awesome.
Yes. So I was stuck thanks to COVID, like pulling weeds for like 5 months as the only job I could get, which gives you a lot of time to think. So I rethought my job career plans and decided I want to go into private tutoring. So I'm still in the setup phases. I have one student right now, but I've been working all last week on my website, got a logo, like you were saying, Ronda. I went and got a professional photo taken, ordered business cards. Now the latest thing is figuring out payment system, because I want it to be automatic. I don't want to be chasing down my the payments each time. So I wanted to do an automatic monthly kind of thing. And then some people do it monthly, some people do it in packages of so many appointments. And so I'm just trying to figure out how that best works and how to integrate it into my website, because I want them to be able to go to my website and just pay initially on there, or unsubscribe or cancel a package, whatever, all through my website.
You know, yeah, that's, you know, those are all things, and it's, you've already got one customer.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like 90% there. Like, I feel like once you get one, it's just, you've already done a lot of work, and all the stuff you're doing is, all that other stuff you're describing, although you're thinking about it a lot, is really secondary, right? Because really it's just like doing awesome work, getting your customers in. You know, what you're talking about is business operations, how you want that flow to be. You know, that's going to work itself out. I can tell you for sure that you have picked a really good time to start doing what you're doing, because tutors are just so in demand right now. You know, parents are so scrambling. They're wanting extra stuff, and we're seeing tutors just explode. So are you mostly marketing locally, or are you marketing just on, like, are you trying to be like in your community, or what's your strategy for that to get to like 10 clients?
Yeah, I'm mostly marketing in the community. Salem has a really large refugee population, and I've been teaching English to the refugee immigrant population here for about 3 years through a community center. So I already have a lot of connections there. I was just hoping that the people who are looking for more than like once a week group classes, they could work with me one-on-one and make a lot more rapid progress. So yeah, a lot of word of mouth. There's like the Mexican flea markets in Salem. There's a lot of places like that where if I just go hang out and I start talking to people, that's what they tend to respond the best to. They're not going to sit and read a flyer, English or Spanish, a lot of times. I found I did some marketing research for my community center I work with, and word of mouth really seems to be the best. So just talking a lot to everyone.
So are you, really quickly, because it sounds like the work you're doing sounds really awesome and really rewarding and fulfilling. Is your target audience are they mostly, you said, like immigrant and refugee community? Is that, so does that reflect how you would do your website, or?
Yes and no. So I'm aiming to do about half of my students English second language, like immigrant refugee, and half reading students. So teaching like younger kids how to read, or middle school to improve reading. And that way, the main thing with the immigrant refugee population is frequently not the population that can afford private tutoring, right? So I was hoping if I can charge full prices for reading tutoring, it'll be easier for me to discount English language tutoring students, or I'm offering group classes. So if two English learners want to learn at the same time. They're just paying me per session, not per student. So they can split if I'm, 45 an hour, although I'm giving them a bigger chunk. If I'm 45 an hour, they're each only paying 22, whatever it is.
So Shelby, I took some notes on what you were just describing because I was, as you were describing that, I was seeing those two things. I was like, you really have two demographics. You have two different kind of targets.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to help you sketch out how those operations might look and how you could do it in a way that would be, really inclusive and cool to everyone. Because we see that a lot, right? Where different people that build their businesses that way. So if you want to DM me anytime, and sketch out some ideas together, I'd be happy to kind of go over some different things we see people doing.
Yeah.
So sounds like you're doing really cool stuff. Welcome. Thanks for showing up to the group.
Yeah.
Awesome. Would someone else like to give us a quick update?
I'll introduce myself because I haven't been in one of these chats, I don't think.
Okay. Hi, Melissa.
I'm Melissa. I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area, a northern suburb, and I teach piano. And that's my primary income stream. This summer, I launched my own course online, and I've been working on marketing for that, but it's just been a very slow process just because I've been trying to renovate my studio, get set up for in-person and online at the same time, upgrading everything. So that's all great. And then sort of like you, Eric, I get these creative spurts, I think, and I had this other idea because I've always wanted just to be an encouraging cheerleader for other people. And so one of the other ideas that I had not too long ago, but goes back to something I've also done, 25 years ago in another industry, is just, what if I could create a place that was really all about supporting and encouraging music teachers, where we weren't trying to sell something, but actually just giving stuff away to teachers and saying, hey, you're doing awesome. You're great where you are. Keep up the great work. We love you. We appreciate you. Here's a little something for you, for this week. And just the idea that, I feel like, teachers are some of the most generous people on the earth, and music teachers especially. We share so much with each other. And I want to be able to kind of give something back to that music teaching community. So that's kind of an offside idea. I don't know what's going to happen with that or where that's going to go. My online course, I'm having my web guy look into Fons because the scheduling plugin that we were trying to use is just too cumbersome. So he's checking out your product and to see how it's going to integrate with the current website and get all that set up. So I'm on my way. I'm getting there. I just,
Well, so this your course is an actual live course. It's not a teachable course or something like that.
It's online, and it's also something that I am presenting virtually to our Georgia State music educators and packaging that material for them. I've heard that that's also going to MTNA. And then I was on the phone this morning with our state president for our GMTA here in Georgia, and she said that they're looking for some other help with some other sessions. So now I'm actually reaching out to folks like, Stephen Hughes to help me with a tech session, and maybe Clinton Pratt to do some creative kinds of things for a session. Because we're all virtual, I don't have the time to do all the sessions myself and put them together and host them, but I can interview some other people. So I kind of feel like my time gets, parceled out a lot of different places.
Sure. And are you a private teacher too?
Yep.
Okay. And really, really briefly, this course you're talking about, it sounds like you got a lot of stuff going on. So this course it's a piano class. It's a group class. People will sign up and.
No, actually the course is designed for music teachers, and it's called Music Lesson Pathways. It's based on differentiated instruction, which a lot of people are already familiar with if they've taught in public schools. Mm-hmm. But it helps teachers set up musical pathways for their students so that students can be more focused on the music that they enjoy and the skills they really want to learn, so that they don't have to spend, for example, 3 or 4 years learning an instrument before they're allowed to play something like pop music or jazz or whatever.
Got it. Is this something that is the process something that needs to be live? I guess is my question.
Nope.
Yeah, because right above you and below you in my Brady Bunch scene here of my Zoom is Tony and Steve,
Yeah.
who are both in the midst of launching and working on courses that can be replicated and scaled, right? By getting the information in and then getting it out there. And it seems like, if we're doing the artist way or something, yes, it's great to be guided, but a lot of the stuff like Steve's improvisation course or Tony's Popmatics, it's stuff that's pretty standard that
Yeah.
people can work through. And and people seem to be doing really well with it. Have you thought about jump? Because what I'm hoping to do today I'm hoping to make a decision soon about which platform I'm going to start using to generate content in, whether it's Teachable, Kajabi, Gumroad, to start just having these courses set up. And are you looking at one of those too to put this into?
I'm already up. Everything is up and done on Thinkific. So
okay.
one of the people that I used as a resource, I have Sarah Ryan Buckley as one of my coaches.
She's
Sarah's-
awesome.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. And she and I had talked through several different platforms about a year ago. And I checked out everything you mentioned, and I ended up going with Thinkific for a couple different reasons. And then since I started with them, they've offered some upgrades. So I have actually a free version of it. I can upgrade if I need to, but I've been happy so far with Thinkific and how it integrates with things like MailChimp or how it integrates with my website, things like that.
Cool. I think I'm going to do kind of like just a round table of going through all of them and basically do the same short course in each one of them, because there's so many out there right now, and there's so many kind of popping up. Steve, what did you use?
Hey everyone. So I'm Steve. I know most of you. I'm a saxophone player and teacher, and throughout the years I've been doing a lot of in-person workshops with students like middle school, high school, and university on improvisation oriented toward jazz, and also some more like open, non-idiomatic approaches. And during lockdown, I've been thinking about courses for a while. Taking some elements of that really needs to be like live and interactive and in the moment and with people, but there are certain skills I've figured out that would actually work pretty well as a pre-recorded course. So I'm using Teachable, which is it's really for everything I need. It's pretty slick. It for just organizing the content, the templates are clean. It's like building a Squarespace site almost. It's kind of boxy. There's only so much you can do with the layout. You put in your own images. So if you're a graphic designer, you might feel a little bit stunted there. So using Teachable it's a beginning improvisation course. Can talk a little bit more about that. Thing I'm looking for now in a platform, I would switch Teachable's fine. I would switch platforms if there was a one-click export to Canvas, Google Classroom. When educators want to buy my course and use it in the classroom, I either have to give coupon codes to students to make their own accounts, but some districts don't allow that. So I'm looking at like a shared account for students, which has some issues, or teachers can download the content and upload it themselves to Canvas. So if anyone knows of a platform that does that, where I can export to other LMSs, that's what I'm looking for in a platform. I'm not sure if that exists. So,
well, you know what, Steve, we're gonna talk after this today, right?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about you, so yeah, I'll put the word out to that too, into the tech universe, and see because I haven't heard of that either. But it makes so much.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many products that are going to be facilitating online education right now.
Totally. I mean, so what at the moment, I'm gearing towards supporting some of these school programs that are looking for something to do for their jazz band. But also I'm really looking ahead to, this is a course a lot of, various amateur musicians or professional musicians with other backgrounds are using this, and eventually have kind of a community of largely, adult learners doing this independently and building a community around that. So the content I'm designing that can work for those folks, but at the moment I'm geared towards schools, and a lot of them are asking, how are my students going to access this? And I wanted to make it really easy for the teachers. I want to be able to say, we use Canvas. Oh, we have to use Schoology. And the kids, there's ADA compliance for making an outside account with their email address. So none of these platforms are really geared toward institutional learning. And I don't want to necessarily build it myself in every single platform.
So let me decode just a little bit of that too, for
Yeah.
everybody else, a way you can apply this to yourself. Steve is ultra focused. He is super top of his game, and has been doing this and really experienced. And so what he's identifying is he mentioned two demographics, two target audiences that are both tight: the band director and and he says the adult student learners, right, wanting to improvise. So he's got that dialed in, but he's identified very clearly what his bottleneck is. I keep talking about this book called The Goal, right? He's got a bottleneck right now, which is that, and he's ahead of it before he's even hearing about it. He's like, wait, how do I make this easier for these teachers are so stressed out? I met my son's third grade teacher this week online, and I said, Mrs. Kim, how are you doing? Like, are you okay? How are you holding up? I can't imagine how tough this is. She started crying on our Zoom call. She goes, no one's asked me how I'm doing. It's so effing hard. And I was like, I know it's really hard. And, so anything we can do to make it, yes, Steve's like, yeah, it needs to be easy. How can we fix this bottleneck to where kids can access it, teachers can get it? Because adding a layer of difficulty to that suddenly makes it to where people might be like, oh, it's really cool, but I'm not going to use it.
Absolutely. I'm getting that. And, developing this is a program. I've done this stuff live for years and years and years, and I found out what worked through experimenting with my own teaching. And as I'm developing it, talking to teachers who have hired me before, who are interested in this kind of thing, and designing it in a way that's useful for them, and showing that to them as I've gone. I mean, not necessarily doing a huge elaborate launch, but getting all kinds of feedback from the right kind of people, like the ideal people are looking at it and giving feedback, and right away that was identified as a bottleneck. So I kind of have a quick solution around it, but it's not the most elegant. But it was something that I had not considered that as a bottleneck. Had I not been talking to the people that I'm serving, I wouldn't have thought about it at all.
Nice. And and just really quickly, if people have things that they'd like to add in just to kind of really keep this moving, go ahead and just click in the chat box if you have questions, or if you have things you want to add on to it, or if you'd want to add something to the conversation. I'm keeping an eye on that, because I think this is going in a really great direction, which is, who's our target, what are our bottlenecks, how are we serving them, and then focus, right? Knowing it always comes back to the same things. What do we have time to actually do? And I really appreciated something else I heard earlier about what Melissa was saying. I'm working through this great book Tony sent me, actually. Tony, what's the name of it again? It's
Path of Least Resistance.
Yeah, I've worked on this book for months. It's my end of day book, and it's like I usually read through a book in like a day. And it's called The Path of Least Resistance, and I would emphatically recommend it to anyone here. I mean, a chapter in this book you can meditate on for weeks. And the one I was working on last night was the idea of receiving, is that we are all, and this is what Melissa was saying about giving, is that we are all inherently givers, right? That is our nature. That is what energizes us, is helping other people, being their cheerleaders. And this book, this section I'm working through, is focusing on the idea of it's okay to receive too. Like, it's okay to get paid. It's okay to have, your clients recognize you and to be all right with it. Right. And, it's been just awesome. So Tony, I'm going to keep thanking you for sending me that book, because it was so nice of you, and I've gotten so much out of it. So
I really, I was fortunate that my former college instructor, who I still visit with, he knows Robert he's worked with Robert. They've on music things in the past, and Robert's a composer too, as I'm sure you know, as you've read through the book a little bit. So he's involved with music and the arts too. But I was fortunate that, because he's been doing live training at his home. He's got this extra barn where he holds these classes, and my teacher had taken a lot of those classes. So I got to discuss a lot of the concepts of that, like in my early 20s, like with my instructor, and just, it really improved so much of my teaching and the relationships, and just understanding behavior with other people, with students, like where it was stemming from. That's such a fantastic book. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
yeah, it's a great recommendation for anybody just trying to figure out what they're doing, and it just kind of hones you back into what we naturally do and what we do well. So Really quick, Cheryl, I haven't heard from you yet today, and I see you down there smiling. What's going on with you? How are your classes going? Say hi really quick, and what's happening today?
Hi. Thank you, Eric, for that description of what you're up to. It really was so inspiring, and I actually have also just been working on my calendar, syncing up my own rhythms with what I'm doing. I have this Tuesday night class, and I dread it, and I'm like, why do I dread this class? I love the people, I love the content, but I hate being online Tuesday night. Like, I'm done by 7, and the class starts at 7:30, so it was more like I just have to change my schedule up. What do I want to be doing? Like, even though, that's a good time for other people, for me, I'm so low energy then that, so I just wrote a calendar, and I wrote down, based on income goals, what I need to clear every week. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of time I don't have to actually work if I organize groups and one-on-ones differently. And that was really freeing. And
How's that
also,
going for you?
I don't know. I just did this last night. So I'm like, we're going to see. What am I doing in teaching? Because I'm in between. Am I teaching craft, or am I doing coaching artist way group process? So this tug between live classes or course creation. And I'm sort of right in the middle of that, trying to sort it out. What's going to be beneficial to student, what am I really teaching, and what do they need to know? What results do they want? So
Yes, and also just understanding the layout of the world we're living in now, how perspectives are shifting, and it really can make sense if you're an expert in your field to do the coaching and see the value in that one-on-one and the small groups, and to really get to know what people are actually going through, and offering what you do as a package where they can work their way through it and get a lot of your best knowledge by buying your $99 course or something, right? And so it's hard weighing those out. I'm seeing quite a few friends now that have been working on the course creation for a couple of years, that they're really established in their personal practice, and their course creation is now catching up to where it's almost equivalent to the money that they're making from working or seeing clients in real life. And so it's, over time, it's a great investment, right? Because you're putting your work out there, and it's just giving you a little bit more diversity in your income and your impact and who you're able to reach. And it just seems to be really flourishing right now.
Yeah, and one more thing about that, the way Joe Dispenza teaches, for example, you have to actually go through his courses before you can work with him live, because he imparts his methodology first. So everybody's on the same page by the time they get to the level of working one-on-one with him. So I love that model, and I love that I'm really writing down what are the core concepts that I really need have people on the same page as me with before I even know if I want to work with them. So
yeah, and you mentioned craft versus process and coaching, and we really start to see that, because everybody that shares their story, we're all so similar in what we're doing, is that there is such a craft to doing this well, this education, this knowledge-based business, to guiding people that impact. And it is a process, and getting it down to where it works the best for you and is aligned with your personal energy. Like Tuesday night course. Yeah. There are moments in my week that I dread too, and I don't understand why I dread them. Right. And maybe it's an energy thing. And that, when you said that, it really resonated. I'm sure we all have moments where dude, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I want to chime in. There's a book I read recently by Dan Pink called When: The Scientific Secrets of Perfect Timing. It's really fascinating. It kind of reads like a TED Talk, but one section is your energy levels during the day and tracking that most people have a burst of energy, late morning, and then have this trough 7 hours after they wake up. For me, it's about 2:30 or something where I just want to take a nap, and then it comes back. Some people are night owls, but being able to track that and matching the tasks that you're taking on. So anything more creative, idea generation at certain times of the day. When you're in a lull, that's when you return emails or whatever, and mapping that. And as if we're all independent business people, we have the ability to do that. I was realizing, when I was starting my teaching, I was always feeling tired and dreading it, and I was like, oh, this is there's something not right with but then I realized part of it was I was just always starting teaching after school, like right in my like energy dip, and this kind of put me in a weird mood.
That's what it is.
So.
And that's when everybody
Totally.
wants to see you. They want to see you right after school and you're exhausted.
Yeah. Every once in a while when I teach like a 10 a.m. lesson, I'm like, wow, this is great. Oh, I get it. So sometimes like straight up, yeah, taking a power nap or something, getting like a scrub the cobwebs off the brain. And then I'm way in a little coffee. Then I'm just way better at 3 o'clock, even I'm normally just kind of a slug getting started teaching. Anyway.
Well,
but yeah, when by Dan Pink. It's really fascinating.
Okay, thank you.
That's a solid recommendation?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. Well, this is awesome. It seems like everybody's really busy. I want to make sure we hear from everybody today and check in. If as we're having this conversation, if you have something that you're like, oh, I'd like to learn more about that, keep in mind you can always DM me and we can continue this conversation. You can also just type it in the chat because I want to make sure no big ideas get missed today. But Karin, I wanted to just check in with you really quickly about your work. I want to hear what Tony's up to and talk about your course, and I want to see what's happening there. So Karin, how's your flow? How is your operations for your prints business coming?
It's one step at a time. I posted in the group, I got a light box to actually create some pictures of the actual physical product, because I don't want to, the issue, this is my problem, like that book, The Goal, I'm pretty sure it was made into a movie, and I'm pretty sure that I saw it like 10 years ago at some point, like it has a story like with the dad taking the kids camping and one kid is like really weighed down with a bunch of stuff, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, same story. I'm like, this sounds very familiar. But yeah, part of my issue is I almost anticipate way too many bottlenecks, and most of the time they're all very valid things, but it's very easy for me to see them all at once and think, crap, I've got all this stuff to figure out. Where do I start? And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so again, one of those bites was like, I can't just post my digital pictures. Even if I post them, I'm not even worried about people ripping them off. There's ways around that. I'm worried about people expecting a product that they get and it looks a little bit different because the printing process there's a little bit of variability to it. So got my light box, eliminated one hurdle, have a bunch of nice pictures now that I have integrated into what I already have paid for on my website. And the next thing that I'm trying to figure out is margins. And it's been a lot more complicated than I have thought. I kind of hate it because my desire is to make these things as inexpensive as possible. But at the same time, I need a certain amount of safety room to make sure that I'm not going to lose money on mailing. I figured out the mailing part, but again, for like only one of these things, it's like $5 worth of shipping, at least, that I have to charge to be in the safe side, because you got to do the envelope, and it's a package because the thing's rigid. So all these little things. And then on top of that, thinking about, okay, well, I need to figure out the legal end of this as well. So make sure that my privacy policy is where it's supposed to be. And all of this I've got very little money, very little disposable money rather, to pay the prices that one would need to pay for actual legal counsel on this. Also, I just want to put it out there, like, if Fons had a product selling thing to it, I know there's like the one-time payment version, but if there's was an organized way to do something like that, I would totally be all over that, because I would like solve that issue almost right away. Just have the link in my website, click over. But yeah, no, I've figured out a lot. I've got a lot set up on the website. The broader project I'm working on is I bought the domain Affirmed Singer, because there's been this whole idea forming around these pieces of artwork that I've been basically building in my mind for the last 10 years or so. And as Eric said early on in the process, like, each one of these things could be its own blog post or something. So that's what I'm working towards. That's what I'm looking at. And just as I was saying before we started recording, before everyone had shown up, I'm a plotter. I'm making slower progress than I'd like to, but as long as the trajectory is still going forward, I'm choosing to be happy with that. And as long as every day I do something, even if it's small.
Well,
so that's where I'm at right now.
So Karin, it's a passion project. It's really cool. The stuff you're making is awesome. You've got it. You know, I would really just, wherever you can, encourage you as much as you can to just move forward and not, you know, not worry a whole lot about legal stuff, or it's just get it out there, because it's really cool. Someone that I think would be really cool for you to check out where you are right now is, are you guys familiar with the firm called Glossier? So Glossier was founded by a woman named Emily Weiss. It's a $1.2 billion company. It is a company that they had a pop-up store in Seattle, and my daughter, every single middle school child in the universe had to go just to see it, and they wanted to spend whatever money they could there. It's a beauty line. She started with a blog and I think she had a $20 camera and a blog starting to write in about something she was passionate about, which was the beauty tricks of famous people. Right? It is a $1.2 billion business now that she started from a blog with an idea that she was fascinated in this one thing. And what I'm saying is, you've got this thing you're fascinated in, you're building, and keeping your perspective on what you're passionate about and just putting it out there, right? Is any energy that you're not putting on that, like if you're like, what about the legal ramifications of this? That's energy that you're not putting into just putting that great spirit out that you've put into your artwork. Right? Because you only have a finite amount of energy every day.
That's why I got the light box. I'm like, hey, I can, while I'm still trying to back burner and figure that thing out. And by the way, I'm essentially open for business. If anyone wants to message me personally and just do it, it's the whole process of trying to take orders through a website that cool. Eventually I want to make sure that I'm not going to run into a big bottleneck right off the bat, that it's at least somewhat scalable. So all to say, I'm ready and essentially open for business. It's the trying to make it more easily available. So
well, post your post that link in Fons family so we can take a look at it.
All right.
Killer. Awesome.
Once it's open, yeah.
Hey, Tommy or Tony, either what you want to give us a quick update?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing that, okay, watching your posts over the past few weeks about what you've been working on, of trying to get out of some of the in-person teaching, but parents and students being adamant that like that's part of what they wanted. It's also something that I had thought about, teaching when I was teaching like 40 plus students. So it's just like, okay, this is too much, it doesn't work. But also 30 minutes once a week, or even 45 is like not a great model for actually learning music. Like I just think that people would need more than that. And that was my motivation to start creating some online content of like just walking through what I do so that people who are motivated can have more access to their teacher if they want. So yeah, not getting rid of the in-person stuff where they get the personal feedback, but having some of that. So I don't know how that exactly would balance out with like the whole life thing, but it's at least something I was thinking about. And the other thing that I was thinking about is having an one-on-one time, but also having people at another session where they're in groups and they can learn different sorts of stuff. Just ways where you can get more from your teacher, have people together when it's possible, but also have an individualized instruction and pair that with an online course. It just seems like somewhere in there could be a great balance. And the one other thing that I've been working on this week was just pricing this online event that I'm running, which has been going for the last like 15 years in person for like $200, for registration for a 3-day event where people would fly and have hotels and all this stuff, and they would pay the registration, no problem. And then when we made it online, everyone was like, well, we should charge like $50 this year. And I was like, our expenses aren't that much lower.
Who's we? Who are you doing this with?
Just some other teachers from California and stuff like that. They were the ones that ran it for like 10 years. I've just picked it up recently. So I was just thinking about value and stuff like that. And I was like, we're not renting a venue, but we're paying everybody else who's presenting the same amount. And the participants are not getting less value because it's online. So I was like, we need to charge at least 100. I feel plenty comfortable with more. But it's just very interesting that everyone was like, 50 or 75, that's the most we can do. And I was like,
wow. They said that before I even asked anybody.
Remind me of masterminds. I was like, it's the value that we're providing to people, not that they're losing something from being online. It's going to be more. So those are the two.
Yeah. And you see that in all the groups, and Joanne Kaminsky runs this great tutoring group, and you see it in all these comments, and people are like really undercharging, and they're like wondering why they can't get busy, right? And then 10 people come and be like, well, I charge a lot and I'm slammed, right?
Yeah.
And especially these are people that are already used to paying it, and doing stuff online is not cheaper, right?
Yeah.
There's infrastructure, it's time, you have to be really on your game, you have to be organized. Yeah, and it all comes back to what you were saying, is value. You know, Tommy, the thing from the first time I met you, I was like, oh, this is definitely a really exceptional music teacher. The energy's there, and like, notice when the first thing you mentioned doing, you're just like, oh, you know, I've wanted to revisit my model too, because it's not enough to learn music best, right?
Yeah.
Your whole motivation was like, how can I do this better? That is a major winner of like an empath and someone that's like on track to do great work. And then you have to be willing to follow up with the question, does it pencil out? Like 99% of my ideas that I come up with, they're like, oh, this is really awesome. I really want to do it. It's not going to pencil out, right? I'm going to put all this energy into it. And you, over the course of 20 years of doing this stuff and writing books and doing seminars and stuff, you end up getting a lot more clients. You end up building your brand and your name. So there's still value in it. You know, so as you're exploring this, you might want to say, oh, what's one thing that I can do that I have the energy for, that I can scale the work that I'm doing, whether it's putting kids in pods and having them come a second time a week. And then you're saying, oh yeah, it's only half the cost of a lesson. And this is, I don't know if you all remember Tim Gwilly, who had this Music Money Formula program. He was so good. He had this really cheesy marketing, but he ran this really successful school in Malibu. He's such a nice guy, and his methods were so awesome, which is, if you have awesome clients, they'll often come more than once a week, or they want every little bit of Tommy Johnson they can get, right? So if you had a lesson on Monday and Thursday, you had a small group masterclass that had 5 people in it and cost half the price of a private lesson, they'd be like, we're in, you know, oh my gosh. And factoring in, oh my goodness, I don't know how many of you all have kids in school. It's impossible. Like, it's crazy. Our providers that we have for our kids, son's basketball coach, kids music teachers, soccer coaches that are doing this online, they are our lifeline because they're already dialed in, right? We will do whatever they ask us to do. Like, we're like, yes, we'll take Huck to this, that, sign them up for this. So, and you're one of those people. So as you start sketching that stuff out, I'd love to see what you come up with and see if we can't get somewhere, like, make it happen together. Hey, Tony, let's jump into you really quick, because I have not heard what you're up to for a while. You've got this amazing course you're working on. Everybody wants it. What's going on with it?
Well, I don't know about that. Well, thank you. But yeah, honestly, I mean, I know, I mean, that's something that I'm excited about. Actually, the thing I'm more excited about right now is that I actually just got my schedule. Like, I totally changed my whole, I guess, the way I bill and everything now. So I'm probably one of the only teachers who actually, like, went the other way and broke up my tuition-based flat rate model, and I'm back to doing per appointment billing.
Love it.
And so that's been, for me, the big thing is I didn't, even though I had a very flexible policy and structure and stuff, I still just struggled with this feeling of, like, I have to honor this schedule that I've kind of promised for the year. And, you know, now that I'm doing homeschooling with my son, I'm like, you know, certain educational opportunities are going to come up. I'm going to want to jump on that. So it's like, I just want to be able to cancel a day of lessons, not have to explain anything. Just either maybe I can offer you a makeup, or maybe we just see you next week. But kind of just returning to this place where I feel like totally in control of my schedule and my day. I've reduced my teaching weeks down, and I've kind of told people to expect that I'm probably only going to be teaching like 3 weeks out of the month, because I want to open up more time to be able to pursue this thing that, you know, this course thing or whatever it's going to be. I'm very much more interested in all of the creative stuff, the ideas, getting all that stuff down, creating materials and stuff. I'm not at all into this, like, marketing. I don't know any of these products that anybody's talking about, all these platforms. But fortunately, like, this whole thing is, I'm really patient with everything, because I already own my own job. I have, like, my students. I can live on the income that I teach with my students. And so this other thing, I'm trying to grow it in a way that feels good to me. And right now I'm still just like polishing up the whole sequence and the curriculum. And every time I teach, I come up with something new, and I'm trying to just fit all the pieces together. And I'm fortunate that I have a few people who have stumbled on it, who have taken sessions with me and then take these ideas and then bring them to their students. So it becomes this great investment, not only in themselves, that they're learning this, this creative approach to teaching piano, but then they're able to make it like an investment in their studio. So I've got a lot of people helping me out, like Angela, as you know, she's, I told her, I said, message me every single day, ask me what I'm doing, put a deadline on me to get her something. So she does some like video editing for her job, and she's very interested in the stuff that I'm doing. So I bought her ScreenFlow so I could basically record ScreenFlow things, send them to her, and she can edit them and chop them up. And we're going to try to team up on that, because if I try to leave it to myself, it'll never get done. It'll never get done, because I'll always be interested in doing the next, pursuing the next idea. And I got all these materials and it's great, but just like you were mentioning, like nothing beats one-to-one for me. I'm not used to talking to more than one person, and it's always got to be the person in the room. So I don't like a lot of the ways that I see courses get marketed. And so I need to make sure that, like, if I'm going to do something, that it feels very different than the things that like I wouldn't purchase for myself. I'm very sensitive to like any forms of like anything that feels like manipulation in any way, even if the product looks amazing. Like if I feel like I'm being like like I need to have this in order to get this thing, like I'm just out. So I want to do something that makes everything, makes the work that I'm doing more visible. But I'm reluctant to jump into a lot of things.
So Tony, can I do a quick share about a couple ideas? So
sure.
Tony's a super successful piano teacher, super busy, but so here's your reality, your situational awareness. I am 100% confident that you are sitting on $1 million idea. And I'll tell you how I think it is $1 million idea. It is scalable. It's awesome. It has been proven. And so you're getting people around you being like, oh, you should do this thing. You should do this, you should do that, do this platform. But you're hell-bent on being authentic and being not smarmy, right? And that's because that's who you are. You want to be an authentic, cool person. And you're cranking out these ideas. And Tony has a method for teaching piano that's different than that he's come up with, and he's built products around it on how to explain it. And it's really, really effective. Right. And so I was sitting around thinking about you the other day, and I had talked to Angela too. And I was like, wow, okay. Tony does have the reality is that the idea that you have could be consumed by, there's approximately 50,000 piano teachers that teach full-time in the United States. There's about 100,000 in the world, right? That's a very conservative number. Those are people that make their living doing it, right? Do you know how many piano players there are in the world? How many Maxines, the people that I just sent you? How many kids whose parents just want to get their kid playing?
Yeah,
that is your long-term scalable. And I saw this person that's making $33,000 a month selling an evergreen piano course that they have not touched by using Google Ads. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. And whatever that course is. Well, I don't want to even talk about that. The reality is that it's there. And in your life, we'll have these ideas that come up that are like, really, like, I wanted to take a walk with Mr. Branner. It's going to make me feel so good. I realize it's very slim chances that's going to go much further than making me happy. You have one or two ideas that are, that have the potential for scalability, impact, all the things you care about. I think you could sell Popmatic's course and generate 50 grand a month in revenue with a course that costs, and I don't say it to many people. I think that you have this model that would work, and it's not going to be, I think long-term. Yeah, you start it, you can sell it to teachers, you can get it out there, but a real demographic, you've got millions of people that want to learn piano that are sitting at home bored. Plus you have the greatest vibe. That's why I just recommended this kid to you. It's a perfect fit. And so what you choose to do with it is totally up to you, but very few people have that option to be like, I've got this idea, and, do I put myself in a really uncomfortable position to pursue it? Do I get a business partner to pursue it? or do I, stay really patient until someone else comes along and does it, and then watch them and be like, oh, do you want to, so it's something I think about you often because I see it as I saw how excited people were about it. The market was proven that they were like, this is really awesome. This reaches a whole bunch of people that normally wouldn't get reached. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do and which direction you take it in.
Well, and that's why I carved out this time. Like I'm reducing the teaching schedule. And part of the goal is that as I create, it's to force me into this, because I've gone from being a travel teacher now to pretty much taking everybody online. So I've reduced like a lot of travel time too. And so that was like a permanent shift, like, because in mid-August, parents were like, what are you going to do? We're going back to school. They're doing a hybrid thing. Are you coming to the house? Are we staying online? And I'm just like, I honestly, at this point, this has been 6 months. So this is kind of just my job now. And I'm like, I couldn't even reassemble a schedule that made sense or that was efficient. And I was just like, we're just staying online, and it's going to be online. Like, I can't promise you when it's going to go back or even if it's going to go back. And so with very limited exceptions, I'm like mostly like an online instructor now. So I've eliminated a lot of travel time. And then I've basically told them I'm cutting out this whole entire week of teaching. So which, and then making myself vulnerable again by going to per appointment billing. So I'm kind of like putting myself in a position where it's like, I have to do this now. Like, I'm putting myself like, I've now reserved this time. I'm going to have this like, week off to do it. I've cut my income down a little bit because I'm taking several weeks, like 2 months worth of teaching out of my calendar. And now like it's time to produce. Like I have to do something. And so part of this thing where I told my students like, hey, we're cutting down to 3 weeks. Like Tommy was saying, I don't think 30 minutes is a great, business model either, unless like the kids are surrounded by musicians in their home. And even then, more time is better. So my whole thing is like doing that. Part of me cutting this back was so that my students that take live lessons with me will also have access to this content. So that's going to be like, hey, on the weeks that you don't have lessons, I'm going to be sending you something that I want you to work through. And then I want the feedback from that and the whole deal. So, yeah, I don't want to be like totally passive about it. And I don't want to be like, I know now after like, for a long time, I was like, yes, this model works great for me. And now that I have some teachers that come in and are like, hey, I do want to take the time to learn what you're doing. I don't, I think it's cool that you don't just want to throw out a book there for me to like work like that, like I require them to actually show me that they know what they're doing before they go and try to work on it with their students. And like the feedback is fantastic. So I know I have a good idea, and I know like I'm confident in that. I'm, exactly how much money it generates. I like, that's very exciting. If you think I can make 50 grand a month, that sounds great. I mean, like I'd be happy with a lot less than that. I'd be happy with the income that I earn now without having to teach for it.
Totally. It'd be huge.
Yeah. So, because just open up that freedom to be able to move out. So I am very confident that what I have is, it will be very successful for any teacher who's willing to take the time and actually invest in learning this, not just like in the way like a jazz teacher might say, like, what book should I use to teach classical? Or a classical teacher will say, what book should I use to learn jazz? No, like you need to learn how that language to be able to communicate it. And it's like, it's the same way with this. It's like, I can't just write you a book and you take it and you go and, but I can do it through a course.
Right.
And it would be nice to do it with a course that also makes available some live training too. And that's kind of what Angela's been talking about. Do these modules and then have these like live Q&As where you can demonstrate so they can check in. And that's what I want. Cause I don't want this like box course here, buy this for whatever, $500. And then like, that's it. Like just hopefully you don't have any questions.
Yeah. Hey, Tony, what, to kind of, cause we have to wrap it up in just a second. Yeah, two things. One, as you're making this time for it, what Sheryl said earlier, her comment about her energy and like dreading stuff, right? And you wear your heart so outwardly and you know yourself well that like, I would really just encourage, cause you don't know where this thing's going to end up. It's definitely going to do something well. You're going to put the time into it. It's like, be really aware if you start dreading it, cause you're like, you know yourself. And if it's like, if your ideations and your idea generations start to get bogged down by these expectations that maybe other people are putting on you to put something out, or, you're going to move it in the right direction. Right.
Yep.
And maybe it's your long-term play is to get a really good business partner that you really trust, that can just say, you do your thing, let me package this up. You just keep cranking out ideas. And sometimes that's a really, partnerships and team effort can, because you're so invested in your quality of life and being who you are. Right. And I think, Sheryl, really stuck with me what you said about that, is dreading those moments that because of a certain, whether it's energy or time of day or just for whatever reason. But
well, when you were talking about your walk with Branner, like James Taylor song lyric, the secret of life is enjoying the passage of time, and that's really, like $50,000 a month sounds great, but like, I really, I want to enjoy my life, and I want to enjoy the work that I'm doing. And so when I wake up every morning, like I want my energy. It's like the path of least resistance too, moving the energy where it's easiest for it to go.
Beautiful. Hey, Fred, this was, we're out of time. This was an amazing call as always. Thank you all so much for coming. I wanted to share one thought with you to end the day that really impacted me this week. There was a professional group, and I'm seeing it in a lot of professional groups, and I monitor all these comments, like Joanne's group, your group, Tony, the Piano Teacher Central, something to the effect of a client. It's someone posting in a professional group saying, oh my gosh, a client, I had a death in the family or at a funeral and I had to cancel. My client yelled at me. They didn't care. They just like yelled at me. And I was so angry. And I even told them I'd try to reschedule our appointment, but they were just a jerk about it and were wanting, whatever. And which I feel like is a valid feeling. Clients can be difficult on us sometimes, but I watched the thread of what pops up, and in a 10-to-1 ratio, it's anger. It's, oh my, of course, that's because people aren't raised right anymore. That's because people don't have any manners. People don't respect you. And I grew up with an outwardly hostile, very loving father, right? Meaning he was the first person to yell at somebody at McDonald's if the French fries weren't full, right? And that is what informed my basis for compassion, is seeing how bitter he was in the world. And he is in the world. He's a loving dad. He is outwardly hostile. And, right now we're going to see it, because I'm seeing other parents trying to get their kids lined up, get them to school. People are just so at the edges of themselves, right? And you might show up 2 minutes late for an appointment and they might explode on you, and it has nothing to do with you, right? And I guess my encouragement, and the thing that, and as you look around in your professional groups and people you talk to, is see who is like expressing any kind of difficulty with like rage, and bitterness and just like writing off other people, and those who are like, oh, of course. I mean, the people that act that way, the people that strike, they feel insignificant, or they're unhappy, or they're super stressed out, or maybe they don't know, because everything's so weird now. So it was something that really stuck with me for the week, seeing which people were empathetic to that moment, which ones got really kind of triggered and angry by that moment. And see if you see that same thing around, and maybe, I know you're all people that practice a lot of patience and good vibes too. So anyway, I really appreciate you all being here. Anybody has any questions, please DM me. Any of this cool information here in the chat, when I throw up the post with the video of this later on in the Fons family, please throw up some comments if you want to put your deal in there. Shelby, did you have a quick question?
Do you have a preferred platform to DM for like media?
You can do me through the Fons family or through Facebook. I'm eric@fons.com if you want to email me.
Okay.
It's super secret. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with you more. So friends, thank you so much. It's great to see you. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next. Thanks for being here.